insight. And Kelly is actually a writer. She's a speaker. She's a tech executive. She's founder of Big Voices, Women Empowered Network. She's an author too. Big Voices and Foundation to Sustainable Success. And she's really focused on helping people live an extraordinary life, and really does a great job with helping people understand the shift in mindset of what needs to happen in all different areas. And she could come and talk about so many different things that'll help you as an entrepreneur, as a leader, for your whole lives. And I asked her specifically to focus on an area she spoke to us about with creating abundance, an abundance mindset and flow, because there's so many blocks that we have that keep us from getting to where we want to go, and understanding like what that plays and how to adopt a new mindset, and really removing blocks that can help you to living your best life. And so I'm just, again, thank you, Kelly, super grateful to have you here today with us, sharing with this amazing group of young entrepreneurs.
Awesome. I am so excited to be here. And wow, when Kathy told me that she had this group, I was just so tickled that you guys have all made this commitment to yourself. I mean, you're here by choice. You're a part of this group and this team because you've chosen to take a different path for yourself. And, I'm just excited to have this conversation with you guys, because it is so important that if you look at the person that you're going to become 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out, we can either look back at our previous self and say, thank you. Like, thank you. Wow. Like, you did a really good job budgeting and saving and making sure that you're constantly elevating yourself. Or on the opposite side, it's the, what were you thinking? Like, you wasted so much time and now I'm paying for it. I'm going to have to work that much harder. I'm not going to be able to retire. I'm not going to do these other things. And so it is really, really awesome that you guys are choosing at this moment really to just be a part of this. And again, I'm just blessed to be able to share this with you. So I'm going to ask for somebody, if somebody wants to unmute themselves, and just take a stab at what you believe abundance means. So I need one courageous person just to pop off of mute and just give me an idea of what does abundance mean to you when you think about that?
I'm full of, I guess.
Full of. Yes, absolutely. So what I would tell you abundance is, it's just more than enough, like more than enough. On the opposite side of that is not enough, right? So if we think about abundance, it's more than enough time, more than enough energy, more than enough money, more than enough wisdom, more than enough education. And yet the world that we live in today, unfortunately, is filled with not enough. I just heard a crazy story yesterday that all of these plastic surgeons have all of these young millennials and other people coming in asking them to make them look like their filtered Instagram self, right? That is coming from a place of not enough, of I'm not enough just as what I am. I'm just not enough. And so we want to get away from that. And the way that we do that is we do use strategy to be able to do that. And so I'm going to go through in my life what really it's taken to be able to create an extraordinary life. And so I stand before you today. I'm incredibly blessed to be the mother of 2 teenage kids, which has by far been my greatest job that I've ever had. So if you're not a parent now, hold off as long as possible. Absolutely. It is so amazing, but life is just a lot easier when you're really in a good space. So, when I think about an extraordinary life, what I wanted to create for myself when I started down this path, 16, 20 years ago, was I wanted to have more than enough money. I wanted to have a great career where I was passionate about what I did. I wanted to have deep relationships with people. I wanted to feel confident that my retirement or my future was going to be completely set up. And that's where I stand today. I get to work. I don't have to work. I'm very blessed in that regard. I'm part of a, multi-billion-dollar company that's been growing incredibly fast in the clean energy financing realm. And I'm excited about what I get to do. And it hasn't come just because I've worked my butt off. Nope, that's not all that it is. A lot of people think that if I grind, which I'm not a grinder, I'm a be in flow and things come to you, really easily. You've got to have the right foundation. And so where it really starts, and I would encourage you guys to do this, is having a solid vision. Now, a vision is different than goals. A lot of you probably have goals. You're like, I want to make X amount of money. I want to do this. I want to do that. Doing is under goals. Vision is under feeling. So we have a lot of different energy in our life. And one of those things is feeling. And so you want to document how you want to feel in your life. How do you want to feel when you look at your bank account? Do you want to feel broke, or do you want to feel abundantly rich and blessed, even if it's got $1,000 in there, because you know that you've got so much time to be able to create more prosperity for yourself? So you want to have a vision for how you want to feel in your life. Then you go into goals. If you start with goals, you get into hamster wheel like everybody else. Like, I want another job. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you never feel fulfilled. So it starts there. The next thing, again, is having those goals, really being able to document the things that you want to do. And with where you guys are in an age bracket, you know, you want to look out 5 years, you want to look out 10 years, and really just say, what kind of lifestyle do I want? Well, kind of lifestyle I wanted at that age was, I wanted to be able to book a flight on a Thursday afternoon and go anywhere I wanted on the weekend and create amazing experiences with my friends and family. And I was able to do that because I had that as a goal. I was able to create that level of prosperity that I could do that. And so you want to be able to have those goals as well. Beyond that, you have to have the right mindset. So mindset is really the way that you experience life. And so it's your lens. Like, imagine going down the freeway. 2 people going down the freeway. One person has a positive mindset in abundance, and they're like, I have more than enough time. Traffic doesn't have any effect on me. Let me pop on a podcast. My girlfriend Kathy's actually on there talking about something, and I'm going to learn from her while I'm going down the road. That's one mindset, right? The other person is completely angry. They are so mad that there's traffic. Somebody just pulled out in front of them. They literally just derailed their morning, and it's going to take them a couple hours to be able to get reset so that they can actually accomplish whatever they did. So that mindset, the way that you experience the world, is really important, and that's what we're going to really dig into today. The next thing that you have to have is really a solid plan and habits, because here's the truth. Motivation doesn't get us very far. It would be lovely if I was motivated. I have no idea. I don't ask myself, do I feel like doing this? I don't wake up and say, do you want to meditate today? I just start meditating because it's such a habit. I just start doing my morning ritual because it's just a habit. So you've got to make sure that you commit to these things. Discipline is where it's at in that regard. The next aspect is you need to have enough energy. Now, today, you might have a lot, you might have a little. I don't know where you are, but I know when I was your age, I was staying up too late and not really worrying about energy. Energy is something that you've got to own. It's not some natural thing that you have. It's something you create. You've got to create the energy that's needed to be able to do all of the things that you need to do in order to be able to achieve your vision and goals. It's what you eat, how much you sleep, the people that you surround yourself with. You know, you really want to think about kind of looking at, do I have energy vampires in my life? If I say energy vampires, how many of you does that resonate with? That person that's just a blood-sucking energy vampire that just takes a lot of your energy. You're going to have to learn how to create solid boundaries for those people, even if they're family, because you've got to own your energy. My number one rule in my life is nobody steals my joy. And my kids know that. And darn it if they don't try. They're 15 and 17. And every day I'm like, you're trying too hard today. So you want to just own that energy level, because that's what's going to help propel you forward. So I just want to share this quote. This is actually from the book Atomic Habits, but I love this because I want you guys to think about this as you face your future. And so it really is, your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. Your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits, and your clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habits. So what you did yesterday and the day before really create what some of that is in your life. So you've got to be really thoughtful. Every decision that you make, your future self, again, is going to thank you or be really upset with you. So I encourage people, when you think about an abundance mindset and really stepping into flow, is I want you to really focus on being present. So it's, how can I be present in this moment? but I'm feeling as if I've already accomplished everything that I've envisioned for myself. So I already have these desires and they're done. They're coming. They're on their way. I'm going to be the successful 30-year-old entrepreneur, whatever that might be. I'm going to be in this amazing relationship. I'm going to be in all of these things. You have to feel as if they've already happened. Because what happens is most people stay in the present moment with worry and they look to the past. And the minute that you do that, all that resistance blocks the flow that we're trying to create. So when you think about an abundance mindset, it really, you know, Stephen Covey says it best, which it's a concept in which people believe there are enough resources and successes to share with others. So think about a cup just overflowing, not, oh, everyone's takers around me. This is kind of going on. Nope, I just have so much to give because I am so full. Like there is just more than enough. And that is the choice that I would ask you guys to make today, is just to choose this. You may not have had anyone in your life before model this for you, and maybe you picked up on some of these things over time. It's just a matter of today choosing it and saying, you know what, I'm going to create an abundance mindset, because I would rather feel like there's more than enough in my life than to feel like I'm not enough or there's not enough. That is not the way that you want to live. So the beliefs and benefits that go along with this are, number one, you are the creator of your success. Not the market, not the business, not anything. It's just, I am the creator of my own success. I create whatever I choose by focusing on it and believing that I'm in a position that I can manifest anything that I choose. You're going to feel more empowered with that, because you're not going to feel like a victim any longer. You're going to feel inspired. You're going to feel like you're working on something bigger than yourself, because when you're in that place of impact and abundance, you are in a place where you can give back even more. You're going to be more flexible and adaptable, because you're like, shoulder shrug, something didn't work out. I already know what's coming. It's just a bump in the road, instead of worrying about what it is that's happening in my life right now. You're also going to feel worthy, secure, and confident of success, which is awesome. Who doesn't want to feel that way? Well, for most people, they walk around feeling a little unworthy, or like people are going to find out. If you've ever heard of imposter syndrome, that's on the opposite side of it, where you're like, no, I deserve everything that I could ever imagine in my life. The next aspect is you're excited about challenges and growth opportunities. What this means is that we switch language. There's no problems anymore. There's no setbacks anymore. They're just opportunities for us to grow and be able to move forward. And I know, and Kathy would agree with me on this, if we look back at all of the seasons in our life where things were painful, it's when we learned the most. It has defined us as the humans that we are today. It's allowed us to navigate tough business waters where most people couldn't. You also can energize and inspire others. And that's really where you become magnetic. You become this just, oh my gosh, people just want to be around you, because they're like, how can you live this way? Like, whoa, opportunity just flows to you. You don't even have to think about the people that you have to call, because they just call you without you even having to do anything. The last aspect, which is really important, is you have clarity. And clarity is priceless, right? At this season in your life, you might be wondering, like, what do I want to do later? What is my path? That kind of thing. Well, just having clarity of the way that you want to feel in your business, or the way that you want to feel in your body, or the way that you want to feel in your finances is clarity. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You don't have to know that. You're just clear. Like, I want to feel like I'm wealthy. I want to feel like I'm healthy. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel like I have the deepest, most meaningful relationships that I could ever imagine for myself. And so you want to get clear about how you want to feel. Most people think clarity is about figuring out what to do. How many times have people asked you, what are you going to do when you get done with this? Or what are you going to do then? And you're like, I don't know. And then you feel like you don't have clarity. Throw that old programming out. Clarity is, I know how I want to feel in my life. I want to feel like I can just jet to Tahoe with one of my close friends and have a dance party in the car and just feel 100% free to do whatever we choose. That's how I love feeling in my life. And so I'm super clear about that. So when you think about what's on the opposite side of that, so what's on the opposite side of abundance is a scarcity mindset. And this is where I would tell you most people fall. They feel like there's not enough. They're going to feel like a victim. I can't believe that customer did this. I can't believe that it took this long in line. I can't believe that, my ex did this or did that. You just feel like you're a victim. And that puts you into scarcity, because if you're in abundance, it's just, there's going to be more than enough customers that flow to me. I don't need to worry about one. It's not the right one. They'd probably be somebody that caused me some pain in the future. You're going to feel frustrated, anxious, or overwhelmed. I mean, how many people out there love feeling overwhelmed, right? Well, when you're in scarcity, it's because you feel like you don't have enough time to do everything. So you got to really reprogram yourself to say, you know what? I've got my to-do list. There's more than enough time. How do I just prioritize this in a way that I feel powerful? And so when you're in scarcity, you feel powerless. It's, oh my gosh, COVID hit. I mean, I remember having conversations with Kathy in the beginning, and it was like their entire business model, right, had to shift overnight. You can either choose to create your own success, or you can feel powerless. And again, it's that choice of, how do I make the most of this? I had to move 650 employees into a remote environment in 4 days, and all of our new hires and things like that. Man, it was like no time to feel powerless. It was, get into action. How do we solve this? Let's move forward. The other thing that you do in scarcity is you focus on what's not working. This is probably one of the most important things that I'm going to encourage you to do. When things aren't going right, don't focus on them. Don't tell anybody. Don't let that drive deeper. Our brains are sticky. What happens with our brain, everything that you've talked about all day today, is going to get driven deeper when I go to bed at night. And most of you probably, your brains are still going when you're going to sleep. And so that rumination is going to go deeper and deeper. So when you wake up tomorrow, what's going to be the first thing that you think about? The things that are not working, rather than, oh, let me find a way to maybe go through gratitude. Let me find a way not to share these things so that they don't just keep going deeper and deeper into my being. So you want, on the opposite side, to learn how to focus on what is working. And sometimes it's a challenge. So maybe everything in your life right now is not working well, except for your health, or except your business, or except your relationships. Everything else is shot. You've got to just keep focusing on that one area that's doing well, and allow these other areas, because you have a vision. You know that you want your relationship to be better. You know that you want your health to be better. Whatever those things are, you've got to allow those things to unfold instead of just focusing on what's not working there. You also feel a lack of freedom when you're in scarcity. You feel like you don't have a choice. And I would encourage you all, and I know that Kathy is, being tomorrow's leaders. Like, freedom is so important, to feel this freedom to choose passion, to know and trust that you will prosper when you align that passion and you really are clear about what you're trying to create. So some of the steps to create an abundance mindset are really just formulas that you can focus on every day. And I'm going to send this PowerPoint out to Kathy as well, so that you guys can take a look at this. The first thing that you've got to do is you have to become aware of your thoughts and their power in your life. Your thoughts, we don't know where they come from. We don't. There are people on this line right now that have thoughts that are not congruent with who you know you really are. You know you're a masterpiece. You know you're powerful. You know you're amazing. And some of you have thoughts that are not in alignment with that. And so you've got to really get a grasp of that, and just choose to let those thoughts drift by you. You don't have to give them any place in your life. You can simply just say, thank you, but I'm not going to focus on whatever that might be. So this is the first step in really just consciousness and becoming present, is to become aware that a lot of these thoughts that we have are just absolutely not in alignment with what we're trying to create. And we've got to find a way to be able to get them down a little more so that they don't steal our joy. A couple books that I would tell you, Power of Now and Untethered Soul, are two great books when it comes to, being able to get some of our thoughts in check. In my last book, Big Voices, I really go through a thought management strategy as well. The next one is to practice gratitude. So a lot of people don't realize that gratitude is a practice. It's not just, hey, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for this. What I would encourage, this is a big Joe Dispenza thing, is that you've got to find a way to linger in gratitude just a little bit longer. If you can hold some of your gratitude for like 18 to 20 seconds, it will make a big difference. Feel it. You know, I just got a new puppy and I'm so grateful for my new puppy. And it's like one of those things that like makes me so happy. And if I just sit there and I'm just, oh, I just am so grateful. It makes me feel great. Like we can really hack our neuroscience by focusing on the right things. So you've got to get this gratitude practice down where you really are focusing on being grateful for the things that are satisfactory. The third thing is you have to believe in unlimited possibilities. It does not matter where you came from. It does not matter what situation you grew up in. It does not make any difference. You can have unlimited possibilities. If you choose to run a billion-dollar company when you're older, so be it. Think big, dream big, know that you can make a big difference. Maybe you're somebody that wants to help the homeless problem or this problem or that problem. Just be open to unlimited possibilities. The next thing is you want to cultivate and share your purpose even more. And what this means, your purpose is what wakes you up every morning. You know, a lot of times people are like, I don't know what my purpose is. It's just what makes you joyful. What brings you joy in your life? That is what your purpose is. For me, I love impacting people's lives. I love being in a position where I can use my story, my awakening from going from being what I would call just an overachiever perfectionist that cared way too much about what other people think, to being a person that just released all of that, became completely detached from outcomes, and was able just to live in this present moment, knowing what I want to create in my future. So you want to share every day. I want to impact people's lives. Like if you ever have an opportunity where I can do that, that's why I'm here today, because Kathy knows that about me. And it will just keep bringing opportunities to you. The next aspect is you want to create mastery in your life. And so when you think about sales, and that's what all of you are kind of in, right, is sales and leadership. If you think about mastery, and I've been coaching real estate agents and salespeople for over 20 years, we got a lot of dabblers out there. I asked a question to over 2,000 people last year, and I asked, how many of you have taken a communications course in the last year? I didn't have not one person. And I'm like, well, how many of you would agree that communication is probably one of the top most important things that you can know about how to relate to your customers? And they all agreed, right? Commit to mastery. That means learn neuro-linguistic programming, understand the power of language, understand what influences people most, understand buying signs, things like that. Really commit to that level of mastery where you know that you're just going to keep pouring into your craft. It gets boring when you stop. And that's where complacency sets in. If I showed you a line of so many people, I'm in my 40s, so many people get to that point and they're bored with their jobs. And it's not because their jobs are boring, it's because they stopped trying. They stopped trying to become a greater master at what they were doing. Number 6 is choose your language wisely. You know, the most important conversation that you will ever have is with yourself. And I love this idea. We can either listen to our brains or we can talk to them. It's far better to talk to your brain every day. Now, affirmations aren't all you need. You got to go a little bit deeper than that too. However, if you walk around and if you're out there and Matthew's having a conversation with somebody and they're like, how are you? And he's like, I'm good. Oh, how's work? Oh my gosh, it's so busy. How do you think Matthew's going to feel? He's going to feel overwhelmed and not pretty great. Now, if he answered, oh my goodness, I am fantastic. I have so much opportunity in my business right now that I couldn't be more grateful. You see the difference? It's a huge difference. Number one, we don't realize that we push people away if they think that we think we're too busy. Like I had a lot of people in my career being in the top 1% of mortgage people that they're like, well, I didn't come to you because I just thought you had enough business. I'm like, whoa, was I really like making myself seem like I didn't need anymore? Like, we want to be really cautious about that. So really choose your language wisely. And again, you know, I started studying language and the power of neuro-linguistic programming and other things in the early 2000s, and it helps me so much. I do not say busy. I do not say problems. I do not say so many words. And I'm constantly correcting myself. Like I used to, you know, if I'm struggling with something, I used to have a problem with perfectionism. I used to have a challenge with anxiety, so that I can be in that state where I believe that I'm past whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Number 7 is continue growing. Always grow every day. How can I get better? What can I do? I love powerful questions that I ask myself. What would it do for me to feel more loved today? What would it take for me to feel more powerful today? I ask my questions, and then I trust that the universe is just going to keep delivering things over and over to me. Number 8, think like a beginner every day. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay humble. When you do, and you just think like a beginner, your curiosity will pay off. We can learn something from everybody. When we start to act like we are, I mean, you can be at a level of mastery and still think like a beginner and learn from other people. And it's really important that you do that. Number 9, again, focus on what is satisfactory every day. How can I focus more on what's going well? How can I just focus less on what's not going well? It will change your life. If you've ever had that conversation with somebody, you call them up, Alexandra's like, hey, how are you? And they're like, oh my gosh, my dog just barfed and this happened, and then my car broke down, and then this happened and that happened, and oh, and then this and that. And I mean, you're like, wow, whoa, I don't really want to call this person anymore, right? That's how humans are. Then you go on social media. That's how humans are. You know, it's really important that you just kind of take a look at that and realize that it is, number one, extremely difficult to focus on what's satisfactory if you're on social media for more than 20, 30 minutes a day. Like, I'm going to be honest, your generation is experiencing something that mine didn't. It's a little easier for me to stay off because my work doesn't count on it. But you've got to really just understand. I don't know if you guys just saw that Netflix documentary. I would highly recommend it on basically social media and other things. Like, we are the product. If you're not paying for something, we are the product. And so things are being marketed to you at all times. So it's hard. It's a challenge for us, right? To be able to navigate all those things. So you just want to learn how to focus on what's satisfactory and start to cut things out that aren't. And then the last thing is to create affirmations for yourself that you can feel into. It's not enough to say, I am successful, I am this, I am that. You really have to feel into them. I do mine when I'm meditating, and it makes a big, big difference. So get these affirmations done on what your new mindset is. I am powerful, I am grateful, I believe in unlimited possibilities. You know, I choose mastery in every area of my life, and just really get committed to those things. So when you think about abundance, wow, it seems easy. You're like, wow, I'm just going to commit to all these things, and then I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be massively successful in my life and just never have to worry about money, love, relationships, anything ever again. But that's not what typically happens. Most of us have what are called abundance blocks.
Hey,
and
Kelly.
what abundance blocks? Yeah.
Real quick, before you dive into that, I actually wanted to ask you before, and I don't know if you're willing to share this, but I know that you had a pretty sexy tithing recently, and I think this is such a beautiful thing. I don't know if you're willing to share with this group, but for me, I think about, like, that was super, like, if you can share that, but I'll just say it was super inspiring to me to hear that, because, you know, I have different mile marks in terms of goals of like how much I'd like to be able to donate and be able to give back, and giving away in a year, one year, I want to give away $1 million, you know, and building up towards that. And obviously that only happens when we're able to eliminate these abundance blocks, right? Because there is more than enough. And I've told people before, I want to give $1 million away in a year, like in my lifetime. They're like, are you crazy? What? And they can't even fathom that, because they're like, I hope that I can earn $1 million in my life. And I'm like, I want to give away $1 million. But yeah, anyway, if you could share that real quick, because I think it's really cool, guys, like the practicality of this and everything Kelly's sharing and going through right now, and just how that's influenced, and it's not just something she's telling you or concepts out there that she's heard, but they're real things that make a real impact, that might seem so simple yet goes such a long way to absolutely prepare you for who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, and what kind of a legacy you want to leave behind. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love for you to share that and keep going.
So the recipe is basically that I use for abundance is I take 10% of my gross income and I tithe that. And I'm very thoughtful about where I tithe my money. I do my research, that kind of thing. So, you know, in COVID, when other people were in this struggling situation, you know, I've been fortunate enough year to date that I've been able to tithe $100,000 so far this year. About 90 of it went through a combination of a orphanage, kind of an orphanage in Africa, and a sex trafficking organization in Cambodia, and a lot of other organizations as well. And I'm hopeful that by the end of the year, fingers crossed, that I should be able to tithe probably close to another 150. So I mean, I'm blessed that that's the situation that I'm in. It has not come without a lot of, you know, grit and determination, things that we're doing here at the company and the trajectory that we're on. But I do always tithe 10% of my gross income and make sure that I believe that that is part of my flow. The other thing that I do is I take 10% of my net income and I basically put that aside for myself. So that's my slush fund. That's going to be the things that are just ridiculous, whether it's a pair of Jimmy Choos or things like that. And then with the remainder of my budget, you know, I try to keep my expenses down really low. I do have a budget that I use, and then I just invest as much money as humanly possible. So, I mean, that's kind of the formula that I've used kind of moving forward in my life, but I've got, you know, it has not always been that way. I had some blocks myself. I always was able to earn at a high level, but actually creating that prosperity, I used to spend everything that I earned most of the time, it seemed like. So I had the multi-million-dollar house, I had all of these different things. And so I've really made changes with my budget and other things over the course of the last couple years. So that was a great question, Kathy. Thank you. So kind of moving into abundance blocks. Again, there are things, and if you think about our psyche, we have the subconscious that stores everything from our past. That's all of our programming, all the things that our parents said, our teachers, everyone around us. And a lot of times, if there's an area in your life where things just aren't flowing, most of the time it's because there's some deeper subconscious block that's in there that's holding you back. And when it comes to wealth, health, success, other things, that's usually what's on the other side of it that's creating that resistance. You know, if you think about wealth, a lot of people can make a good living, but then they just spend it. Well, it might be because they're afraid to lose it. Money was tight, so they don't ever want to just hold on to it. So it is important that you kind of work through some of these things. And we're going to do a little meditation today and see if we can't do that as well. But I'm going to go through some of the top abundance blocks that we found. Number one is judgment. And don't ever know why this is a huge block in people's lives. It does come from, I would say in my life, it was deep. My parents were constantly criticizing other people. They were constantly judging other people for what it was they were doing, which means they were probably judging themselves. So it's really important that you really eliminate any judgment. And one speaker that I know, and it's a great idea, but a lot of times it's hard. I mean, you might be in line in Starbucks and you're like, I can't believe they're wearing that. I can't believe my mom just did this. I can't believe this person just did that. You can kind of write them down on an index card, and you just want to clear them out at the end of the day because you want to stay in your own lane. We're not perfect. We're always going to have our own work. We don't want to walk around judging other people. The other thing, which we're really going to kind of go through today, is money beliefs from childhood. This is really coming from this place where you have some deep rooted programming or beliefs about money that were installed at a time when you weren't really in a powerful enough position to say, no, that's not right. Like they just got installed, and we want to try to uninstall some of those things today. Another one is that the belief that hard work is the only path to success. Now, there's a whole movement, right? The whole grinds movement, all that kind of thing, where people gain their significance from working an incredible amount. I used to be that person. It's been about 16 years since I left that lifestyle behind. And now I just believe that I do a good job when I'm here, but when I'm done, I'm done. Like, I enjoy a really solid balance in my life of self-care and personal time and relationship time and time with my kids and my health. Like, I want to be operating on every area of my life. And what happens a lot of times, especially with the hard work, is that we have people that are so great in their career and they're so great in their finances, but other areas of their life tend to suffer. So we want to release that. We want things to come to you with absolute ease. We want you just to have this magnetic business where people just come to you, like they literally just flock to you, and you don't even have to do anything. It's just so easy for you to be successful. The next block is really doubt and fear. And where that comes from is a deep subconscious place where you just don't believe you're worthy enough. Like, there's just this, like, you just, like, who are you? Who are you to be making this kind of money? Like, who do you think you are? Like, people are going to find out that you're really not that great. Or if I do all these things, like, what happens if the market goes down and I lose everything? We're still dealing with that issue from 2008, where we had super successful people that lost everything. And so once that's happened, that fear can just really override you as well. So the next thing that we're going to do right now, and I'm just going to stop share right now as we do this, is we're going to go through a meditation right now, and we're going to see if we can't get a little bit deeper into your subconscious and see if we can remove anything. So the first thing that I would ask from all of you guys is that you make sure that you don't have any cell phones or anything else that are going to distract you. It's really important that you're present in this. Some of you may not have done anything like this before, so I appreciate your courage to be able to do this with me. The first time I did it, I had an experience where I was like, whoa, that was fascinating. So hopefully we're gonna hopefully clear out some things for some of you guys today. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask you to go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you just to start by taking some deep breaths, just in through your nose and out through your mouth, just some deep breaths. And I want you to imagine strings pulling on you from every direction, all the pressures, the problems, the bills, the people, anyone that has ties to you, just pulling on you to go in a million different directions. I want you to imagine these strings coming off of your body right now. And now I want you to grab a pair of scissors. And I want you just to cut every single external string that's pulling you from this present moment right now. We're going to release any and all pressure, binds, ties, fears, doubts, anything right now. We're just going to cut these, cutting them so that we feel completely free. And as we do that, you need to take a couple more breaths right now, and I want you to imagine a funnel above your head, a funnel from above. And I want you to imagine pouring into this funnel is the most beautiful lavender light that you could ever imagine, coming down from whether you believe it's heaven, universe, wherever it's coming from, pouring in to your skull and into your brain. And as this lavender energy flows into you, you just feel more and more at peace. As it floods into your face, into your neck, and into your shoulders, dropping your shoulders down even further, and into your arms, and into your chest, growing more and more peaceful as it goes, all the way down through your hips and your legs, into your feet. And this lavender energy goes all the way through to the center of the earth and comes back. And you're being held now from above and below. Now I want you to imagine the sphere of light surrounding you, keeping you in this place of absolute peace and safety, feeling more relaxed. As we take a journey back, I want to imagine now that you're getting onto an elevator. And this elevator is taking you from the 5th floor down to the 4th floor, into the 3rd, into the 2nd, into the 1st floor. And as this elevator opens, we are deep in our subconscious mind now, taking ourselves back to childhood, to a time in our life, maybe when we were little or a teenager, back to this moment where you can remember distinctly somebody sharing something about money. Maybe your parents were fighting. Maybe you wanted new clothes for school. Maybe your neighbors had more than what you wanted. I want you to imagine this moment where maybe you heard that rich people suck. Those people have money and they're terrible. Money's the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't have that. You can't buy that. We don't have enough. We'll never have enough. You have to work hard to make it in this life. I want you to remember that moment right now. And I want you to breathe into that feeling that you felt in that moment, that you heard that. And I want you to intensify that feeling. I want you to intensify that feeling of feeling that, oh, I just don't like this right now. No, I don't like to hear my parents fight. I want that. I want those clothes. I want that candy. I want that video game, whatever it might be. I don't want to be like my parents who work all the time and work so hard and are never present for me. Whatever that feeling might be, I want you to intensify it even more. Take some deep breaths, and now I want you to release that feeling. And I want to speak into that aspect and say, they were wrong. You are abundant. You are the creator of your own reality. If you choose to have things flow to you with ease, you will. Money flows to you just because of who you are. You deserve to prosper. You are the creator. Your possibilities are limitless. You can create whatever amount of prosperity you choose. You are enough. You are magnificent. You are a masterpiece. You have enough education. You have more than enough no matter what it is that you've done. And I want you to breathe into that new feeling, and I want you to grab this light, just like you're grabbing a ball of light. And I want you to feel in your body where you may have felt that anxiety that came up of how little's in your bank account, the worry, working too hard, being exhausted, whatever it is. I want you to feel in your body where that might exist. And I want you to grab this ball of light, and I want you to fill that aspect of yourself up. And this light is going to heal all of those wounds that were created so long ago, so that when we come back to the present moment, you feel abundantly rich, no matter what's in your bank account, because you know that you will create whatever you can imagine, whatever you can see in your mind, you can create in this reality. Whatever desires you have, you can create. And as we breathe again into that space, I want you to feel more than enough, just like a masterpiece in this moment. We're going to take a few more deep breaths. We're going to walk back to this elevator. And as we rise back up to the present moment, I just want you to feel more and more energy, more abundance, more power, more inspiration. As we go from the 1st floor to the 2nd to the 3rd, you're feeling even more powerful than you did before, knowing that whatever programming you had is gone. You will prosper, you will save, but you will also richly enjoy this delicious life that we've been given as we go to the 4th floor and to the 5th floor. And as we come back to this present moment, we can go ahead and open our eyes. So would anyone like to share? I think we have time for just maybe 2 shares. If anything came up for anyone, maybe a memory from your childhood, anything like that that came up for you. You have to be courageous and share.
You can unmute yourself to share.
I can share. So my name is Cassandra Collins. Whenever I was going through this, I actually went back to a memory from like 10 years ago. And I remember like having that fear of not being enough or like wanting more. And whenever you said like your family telling you that like money is evil, and like I remember like them telling us like not to hang out with our neighbors because they were just doing a lot better than we were and they were evil people. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, where is this mindset coming from now that I'm older? And I don't think that way. And it's like, why were they thinking that way? And why did they embed that into us as children? You know, because I was like 10, 11 years old at the time. And it's like, I'm 21 now. And it's like, why? Like, and now I'm thinking like, does that have an effect on me now? Like, am I like putting that into my child, you know, like, am I putting that into him? So yeah, so that's something that came to my mind when we were going through that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Cassandra. Do we have one more?
I'd like to share.
Hi.
My name's Tierra. Something that came to me is when I was graduating high school and trying to pick certain colleges. My mom was just like, you can't go to a certain college because I just can't afford it. And I was just like, oh, I don't know how to feel about that. Like it kind of made me lose hope a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that you just meditating in that, that was a memory that came up, and just hearing your words, it gave me a whole different mindset on just how to look on how to finish college, because I'm already in college, and I feel like even without my mom's help, I'll be able to do it no matter what, because stuff will just come to me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And
You have
Jacob,
one
you want to share something, Jacob?
I don't know how to unmute it.
You are unmuted.
Katie wanted to share.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I'm burning some Palo Santo.
So I was gonna say my memory that comes up was from when I was in like 4th grade. I came home from school and just panicked. I mean, just full of uncertainty and like a real taste of like mistrust in the school system, I guess, because I didn't know anything about money. And I was like, okay, I'm going to this school, I'm learning so many things, and I have no idea. Like we still wrote checks when I was a kid, so I was like, I don't know how to write a check, I don't know how to balance a checkbook, and I just felt so uncertain. And so that was the memory that came up for me. And then walking back through that, so now I am an educator in education, and that's part of like my mission is getting this into the curriculum and making it
Awesome.
Making it a principle that people are learning skills that they actually need to learn.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. All right, anyone else? I think we did have time for one more if you guys wanted to go.
If I can go, guys. I don't know if y'all can see me, but
ahead,
I
Frank.
don't know if you can see me now.
No.
Hi, guys. How you doing, Kelly? I'm Frank Delgado. Pleasure to meet you. I come, many of them have heard of pretty humble beginnings, and I think for me, financial, I call them chains, have been around for quite a while. And then when I got to a point where I actually started making money with Cutco, I had another angle of judgment from family, even though I knew my family would love me no matter what. I had a fear of everyone asking for money, and for some reason, because I think we would always ask for money, it became this kind of give and take. And I think I'm barely getting to a point in my life over the last couple of years where it's kind of now I'm using it as a platform to help expand the mindset of my family by leading and changing that culture. But that definitely came to me during that meditation.
Oh, that's amazing. One, I feel like you guys are the change that we need in the world. Like, we do need to reprogram. Like, and I'm sorry, you know, my generation and before, we just weren't thoughtful about those things because they were coming out of recessions, they were coming out of different places, and so people thought that there was lack, and that lack is what creates the resistance to whatever we're trying to create. So, you know, I'm just going to kind of leave you guys with a couple things that really can help with flow as well. Number one, you must learn the flow of giving and receiving. A lot of you are probably givers, right? Like, you're salespeople, you're constantly giving. You've got to be in that place of receiving. Being in a place of receiving is being really clear about what help you need. One of the things in my mortgage business that I did really well was I always tried to end conversations with, you know, is there anything I can do to support you or your family? You know, the best way that you can support me is sending referrals for this or that. And I just wasn't ever afraid to ask for help. And it was just one of those things that you've got to be really clear about what help you need in order to be able to get to that next level. You know, I've manifested in my life things that are incredible, whether it was, you know, working with Tony Robbins Wellness Treat Center manager when I wanted to get healthy, just happened to come into my life, or getting, you know, Tony Robbins came into my life through a business transaction that we had, or things like that, where you're like, whoa, did I create that? You can create whatever you choose. I mean, just don't be afraid to constantly just ask for help and be in that state of believing that if I can envision it, you know, I can create it. And so just be really clear though on your vision. That's the one thing that I would say. Get super specific. You know, if you're not in a relationship, get super specific about what you're trying to create. If you want this level, for me, it's, you know, $25,000 in passive income in order to be able to retire, that kind of thing. You know, first phase is financial freedom, which means you have enough passive income to pay your expenses. So that's step one, right? That might be your first marker. And then your second marker might be, wow, it'd be awesome if I had this amount in order to be able to do these things, because we don't want to grind. So that's a really important thing. And then, you know, the last thing I would leave you with is being conscious is a responsibility. Like, it's not easy. Staying present, watching, being the watcher of your thoughts, as Eckhart Tolle would say. It's not this, I mean, it's going to take you some energy to begin with. It will be so worth it. Because if you're able to see these thoughts that fly by you, you know, the fear, the doubt, the judgment, the whatever it is separate from yourself, then you don't own them anymore. You don't beat yourself up anymore for having them, whatever it is. And we all have a thorn in our side, right? Just total vulnerability. Like, I'm a 46-year-old divorced, you know, person. It's like, gosh, I'm smart enough to do this, but I wasn't smart enough to do that. Like, a lot of us get, like, we're really great in one area of our life, but then other areas maybe we need some more support on. It's okay. Like, we just want to keep focusing on what it is that we want to create, and that will drive you to this place of abundance. And then, you know, I look at this as being something that you can share. If you're an entrepreneur and you are in a position where you're in proximity to families, you have no idea what impact you can make. One conversation about, do you have a budget? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Like, you are in proximity to people that are struggling today. And so maybe you think it's a decision about whether or not I'm going to buy knives. It's not about whether or not I can buy knives. It's whether or not this person has any foundation for this. And I believe when you step into abundance and mindset of leadership, you're leading all the time. We're influencing all the time. We are more powerful than we've ever given ourselves credit for. So, you know, I just urge you guys, you're the thought leaders of tomorrow. And I'm so excited that you're investing in yourself today. And Kathy, thank you for always creating space for people to, you know, be their best and that kind of thing. It's amazing. And I hope that my kids are on this call with you in a couple years as well, and kind of moving forward. So I'll open it up for just a couple last minute questions. I know we have a couple minutes if anyone has any, but thank you. I'm so honored to be here with all of you guys.
Heck yeah. I love it. And we have some, you know, cool things here in the comments. But I would love, and we can, something simple. Someone asked, what's your top course, book, and conference on NLP? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I will send some stuff over because NLP stuff changes all the time. And now with COVID, you can pretty much take anything online. So I will send you some NLP recommendations.
Awesome. Other questions?
The PowerPoint that we went over, I came in a little bit late because I was doing a demo.
We'll get it for you.
Okay, because I really, really want to write that stuff down. I'm kind of making like a vision board and like a little corner in my living room where my office is gonna be at, and I want to put a lot of that stuff up so that I can see it repeatedly while I'm working. That way I'll have it down.
And guys, I'd love to, that's awesome, Brittany. Love to hear that. I'd love to real quick, if you have another question, you can shoot it out as well. But I'd love if we can have a couple people reflect back onto Kelly, like what was the greatest gift she gave you guys being here today? You know, how was this helpful? What did this do for you? Would love to hear, you guys can blow up the chat box, but would love to hear from a couple people real quick before we go here. You can just unmute yourself and go. Oh, Kelly, I did have one question. I had someone ask, well, why would you, you know, if you're making that much money, right? Why would you, make yourself spend, buy chimichurri or do that? Shouldn't you just put more away? How would you answer that?
Yeah, it's, it's fascinating. It's just kind of this flow of abundance. It just says like, I can't save everything because that's for tomorrow, right? We have to enjoy it in the moment. And I do use part of that for vacations and epic adventures and stuff like that. But it is definitely, it's been more challenging because on the opposite, I used to probably spend like 25% on stuff that I shouldn't have. And now I'm just a lot more thoughtful about what it really looks like. So.
Yeah, awesome. And I know you were sharing this weekend with us, and hearing that really hit me where I was like, man, right now I'm like, save, and it's like making yourself, and how you explained it, how you said, this is my abundance equation, like this is my formula. Like I have to give 10, I have to spend 10. And then from the 80%, I pay bills, I live, and I invest, right? And, and that was just cool because like I've always had a budget and teaching these guys about planning and where your buckets and everything. And it's very easy to be like, no, like I have to pay all this. I have to take care of all this, but it's reminding subconsciously your brain that like more's coming, more's coming.
More's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming to you guys in absolute, abundance. It's the best word for it.
I love it. Well,
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you again so much.